All right. That was cool. All right, here we go. So, um, man, just so you know what's happening in the background. Let's see. I put this here, yeah. So I use OBS Studio and I used Cloud Code to figure out how to use this a little bit here and customize it. So as you can see on the screen, if you're not familiar, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with OBS Studio. Um, and I don't know, I've watched some of these build in public things, and it's like they just all of a sudden start working. It's like they have this built-in knowledge, like they already know, and it's so easy to do. Um, I my office is in um, a guest room of my house. Uh, it's primarily my office, but we have a bed in here just in case. And then generally it's just the my coworker's bed, so it's the dog bed. Um, and so I got two big dogs, and so I need a big bed for them to lay on. And so that's generally there. And then everything else is like storage. So can it kind of looks messy behind me. So having a background filter is critical for me. Um, and kind of having all some of this like how to screen share and how to make it kind of professional looking, that's like all like stuff you don't know how to do when you start this. And so trying to do it to where it somewhat looks like I know what I'm doing in terms of streaming is not easy. But just like anything in life, right? If you commit yourself to it, you can figure it out and you can do it. It's just a matter of whether it's worth it to you. Um, for me, I think creating content is something that I think is valuable, and so it's created a bit of passion for me. So this is one of my projects that I have in my Claude code. So I'm showing you exactly how I work in with Claude. It's in VS Code. Um, It'll look a little different from most people's. What I generally think of when I think of AI is most people are using AI, even though there's kind of several levels of how people use AI. There are like level zero where they are a disbeliever. They think it's risky. They whatever the reason is, they are total non-adoption of AI. There's level kind of one where it's AI is used as an enhanced Google. It's if anything, they're using Google Gemini, and they're like, sweet, it gets the Google job done faster, um, or better in some way. Or they went to ChatGPT and they now use ChatGPT for search. Um, that's generally level one, and that's as far as it goes, right? They get their needs met with that, and the further investment of time is not worth it to them. I say them, this is a cohort of user, right? Level one user. Level two is now you've figured out like, okay, AI is pretty cool. There's some understanding of what AI does and how to interact with it. And you start to notice that there are other AI providers out there and what the differences are between them. And that level one is also using the onboard tools that say AI in all kinds of products and thinking that that is AI. Some of that's just marketing magic. It's not actually AI. Um, but so level two, sorry, had to reset there. Level two, that's kind of like that idea. And mind you, if you're new to me, like you don't know me very well, this is how I work through problems. I think through, I'm very problem solving focused person. So I'm going to select my words, try to select my words correctly. Um, so with level two, you've got people who are maybe understand AI a little better. They want to. They find out that they can do different things with different types of AI, and there are specialty AIs where the models have been trained to do a specialty task. Um, there's extra backend that's been built so that it does it better than the generalist AI. The models that are selected, they may not know all that stuff, but they know that there's other AI out there. There's not just ChatGPT and Gemini, right? Those are the big variant ones. I'd say that's like now level two. Level three, I think now you're starting to understand I can do a bunch of stuff with AI. And um, but you're still application focused. You're using maybe Replit or Lovable for AI things, tasks, items. They're pre-built solutions that are specialized um, to do a job, and you are handcuffed by you don't know this necessarily, but you think that's what you need, and that's the only way to do it. Um, that's to me level three is like you've got Mermaid for charting, you've got an aggregator of models like a Perplexity to do some research and to do things of that. You're trading through these models and you're not necessarily relying on one. You know that, hey, maybe Claude is the smartest and best reasoning, but maybe it's a little slower. But if it's a high level reasoning problem, you probably want to see what Claude has to say versus if it's like marketing focused, if it's image generation, ChatGPT 5.5 is pretty good, right? So maybe I'm going to maybe I'm going to ChatGPT for that kind of content. Maybe I like Nano Banana. Maybe I found out about Notebook LM from Google and some of the different Google services. Um, I found out that Eloquent by Google is better than is a better transcriber than anything else out there. You maybe found like all kinds of different Whisper Flow. You found out there's an AI uh, that can record in any space on your computer, in any text field on your computer, can record your voice and transcribe what you're trying to say in a properly grammatical and maybe you're saying a list, so you can say it'll write it that way. It does dictation very well. There are different things out there. Like there are all these different tools. You're finding all these like niche tools. Then a level four and beyond, I haven't really scoped out what beyond to level, four and beyond is, but four, I would say after level four, you're now getting into programmer level, where your leveling essentially is how good and developed you are as a programmer, as an engineer, as an architect. There's obviously people who dedicate their careers and their life to doing that better than anyone else and becoming a CTO and becoming. Um, so I think it can just continue to expand in that kind of direction. Um, and I say that because I think at the end of the day, level four and beyond is someone who's able to build for themselves with the help of AI. And this generally, in my mind, is most entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs want to control everything. They want to own everything. They don't want to give any money to anybody else. Uh, but there is a certain drawback to that where you are time limited. So um, the more CEO forward you are, the more of a CEO you are, the less of um, the less you spend in this space. And the more you're going to be just allocating resources to the right people, to the right builders who are level four plus. And I see um, some of the tech job losses and firings that are out there. And I don't know that that's necessarily the right approach. Um, people with a programming background still have immense value. Um, Now, if you're trying to just do your job in anything, um, and not think outside the box, that's already just like a poison pill for yourself. And I would recommend you think deeply into what your role is and why your role is there and how it could be done better constantly. Just constantly ask why, what, what's the next step? Where does this feed into whatever I'm doing? Where does it go next? And how can I solve that problem? And then keep pulling that thread. Um, and that's how you create value in my mind. So uh, when it comes to this coding stuff, right? So this view is what I would think is like level 4 and beyond. Now, where I put myself on that spectrum, I don't know. I'm over here. You could call it vibe coding, whatever you want to call it. Um, my background is at a, at a big at a Fortune 150 company. I did corporate accounting and did accounting workflow automation. I also oversaw the technology departments from a cost center and reporting and accounting perspective, capital budget, um, operating budget, uh, and um, what I would say is most people will never even get to level 4. So if you're seeing this and you're thinking, oh, this is level 4, this is amateur stuff, you're wrong. There are people still on level 0. Um, and the the solutions that you're able to create at level 4, um, I would say level 5 is now you understand how AI works in terms of programming. So there are best practices that you can employ to be faster, cheaper, safer. Um, so, anyways, here we are. I'm trying to solve a couple problems here. I've got my improve my OBS setup, which I already showed you a screenshot of. Um, I'm trying to make this feed, this engagement content creation platform here of live streaming better, so that this stream is better than the next stream. And once I get to a stabilized place where I like everything that's going on, then I start to then I start to now I have like the program set of like what the live stream should look like. And then we just rinse and repeat with different problems along the way. Um, so I've got different, things here that I'm working on. Um, I've got some I use Tailscale for VPN. Maybe that's a security overshare. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to unlist or crop this video. But Tailscale, let's just call my VPN. But my VPN creates flakiness across my like environment here, and that causes all kinds of havoc. So I got to figure that out. And then OBS, I'm trying to make it better. Trying to understand how to use it. I don't even know how to use it. So how I can manage the stream so that it looks professional and it fades in, it fades out, stuff like that. Um, that's going to be my goal here. And then, yeah, let's just let's go. My challenge with this in general, this building in public, is oftentimes when I'm building, I am potentially talking about personally identifiable information. And so there's already a file path that's showing here that I'd prefer you not to see, probably. I don't know. There's just all kinds of concern with it. Um, so I'll just say high level. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to I'm trying to right now build I'm part of a network, a business development group that we come together to create a referral network of business owners that provide a similar level of attention and care, and we have aligned goals in that we're all trying to deliver a high level of detailed, um, high quality service and compete in the marketplace, right? And so um, we're always trying to in our meetings, right? We have a standard structure, but in our one-on-ones, we're working to improve each other and find ways to give each other opportunities. Um, so I'm the treasurer of that group. I'm trying to make our operating life better so that we have a more successful chapter. We get more members. More members becomes more business opportunities. More business opportunities feeds uh, the recurring loop, which leads to improved service and so on and so forth. So that's the goal there. And it kind of starts with step one of making everything efficient, and so that'll be goal one here is get this. As I'm building something like that out, um, if there weren't like emails showing in the feed, I'd show you it. But maybe on the next one, I'll give you a little preview of like, yeah, I'll figure out a way to like at least screenshot these things so that you can see progress. Um, like that one, I'm building a board of directors dashboard, um, which is role based, so that let's say the membership chair has a certain level of access and needs to do a recording job. Um, she can see everything that's uh, aligned with that role. So she needs to record. Um, she needs to record all of the. Let's see. Yeah. So um, membership chair needs to record all the visitors, um, the renewals, keep track of the renewals, um, guest tracking. So if a guest comes in, what was their name? What was their phone number? What was their email? When did they visit? What was their company? What category would they serve in our group? Who were they referred by? And then if they convert, do they become? Have we issued all of the perks of being a member? And have we requested payment on an invoice for the membership? Um, so that's what the membership chair needs to track. The secretary needs to track the number of one-on-ones and the number of referrals that were passed and who did them, and then that feeds into an engagement platform, which the vice president is also adding the attendance for the meeting, for that weekly meetings, attendance of who's there from the membership, and uh, were they late? Were they on time? Were they substituted for? Is it an unexcused absence? All those factors lead into an engagement score. Um, and then for me, are they paying? I'm the treasurer. Are they paying? And who's not paying? And so that's a bit of engagement too. So that all feeds into kind of each one can see their role in their own dashboard. Um, and the president kind of has the super admin access, but the president is mainly focused on, okay, like now let's take all of these inputs, um, and let's see what the total engagement of the chapter is, and let's be able to drill down into the highs and the lows, who's our best referrers, who's our worst referrers, are they getting referrals back? If they're our best referrers, are they not getting referrals? Like those are all concerns in terms of, are they, when renewal comes up, are they getting an ROI on their membership, right? So are they going to renew? Right? It's pretty straightforward situation, if you feel like you're not getting referrals or you don't like the group, that's different. But if you feel like you like the group and you're not getting referrals, then but you give referrals, then the ROI, if you're a new member, you should probably wait. You should give this thing like relationships take time to build. But if you're a new member and you if you're a new member or an established member and you're coming every week, you're doing your one-on-ones, so you're in attendance, you're doing your one-on-ones, you're meeting people, they understand who you are, and you're still not getting referrals, then it might look like this is a waste of my time. I'm not getting a return on my investment. But if, let's say, you pay $2,000 worth of membership and you're getting $20,000 of referrals, it's a pretty good ROI. Um, you're investing quite a bit of time. So it's not purely, what is that, like 100x, 10x, 10x it's not 10x your investment, but because you haven't factored in that cost, the cost of your time. Um, but at least you're close. You're positive on your ledger at least. So it makes sense. Um, and the intangibles, you got to think of the intangibles there. So in any case, you've got to think about all this stuff when you're trying to create this dashboard. Otherwise, as how are we doing it right now? How does the rest of the world and 70% of business operate in spreadsheets, right? And I think that's really the value of AI. We're getting to this place where technology isn't gated by those who can code. Um, it is it might actually become a world where we don't live in spreadsheets. That would be a wonderful thing to happen to security, uh, because spreadsheets are a constant exposure, right? You need to keep them in a safe place, and even if they're in a safe place, they're a micro database in, and you could have hundreds of these micro databases with PII stored in them and all kinds of access permission problems and just just such a security headache. I can't even dive too deep in that without like spending. You could keep unraveling that problem. It is a disaster. Having been in the situation where I relied heavily on Excel, I understand the value. A lot of times, technology departments are inefficient. They're understaffed to provide the level of care and um, need of cost centers. So, like, if I'm talking briefly on how a Fortune 150 technology department works, their their first focus is how do I create more money? So any dollar spent turns into three or five or whatever it may be. Let me get an ROI on my capital, right? So when that's your number one goal as a cost center, like an accounting department, you're not you're not number two, you're not number three, you're not number four, five, six, seven, eight. You're maybe 10 or 15 or 20. You're like the lowest priority because the cost savings to serve you dwarf what is possible and are much less sexy than creating new revenue. Um, the problems are equally complex, oftentimes, to save, and the potential for not realizing those cost savings are great because you maybe you need to deprecate a software, or you need to um, uh, maybe deprecate a software, or you need to create some kind of capacity improvement, which is so undefined most times because people don't keep timesheets. So you don't track your time, so you don't know at this level this repeated process on a weekly, monthly, daily basis happens 30 times a day times 10 minutes okay, or it's 4 hours per month. We don't keep that level of detail, and so finding the assigning an ROI in terms of cost savings and capacity is nebulous, and it's also less interesting and sexy to offer some kind of risk reduction. So let's say you improve your security profile, or you reduce your risk of an audit finding if you're a SOX uh, if you're a SOX company, if you're a company, publicly listed company that needs to follow SOX and internal controls, and you have to have all that documented, and uh, you need to do IT audits and maintain compliance there. Governance is doesn't put more money in on your ledger. Uh, it just makes sure that if there is an exposure, it's mitigated, right? So like it's a potential liability. It's a contingent liability that could never materialize versus you could be building towards revenue. And so it never gets focused on. So the idea of having a tool like Claude and a workstation setup like this, where maybe you could get ZDR set up, where you have zero data retention. If your company's big enough, um, you set up your plans, your enterprise plan, so that you have a ZDR environment, ZDR agreement between you and the AI provider. You can do some really cool stuff. I mean, everything that you're working in maybe like a setup like this at a cost center level, um, you could be manufacturing your own bases of knowledge, right? You could create your own knowledge base um, that pulls information out of very niche places. So let's say you have an accounting department, and there's all these workflows of things that each level does, and it gets documented for a job description maybe, but that's not the detail level that actually drives performance and drives the success of that organization, right? And if if those get captured in a knowledge management system, not only are they captured, so if someone leaves, you don't have a disaster, right? That's the risk reduction. Now you've got AI who can look at that as a process improvement expert and literally pick it apart. And you've you've addressed change management, right? We're gonna now start making some changes. Remember that? Remember if you ever watched The Bobs in Office Space, the movie? Um, that's what That's what implementation and that's what consultants are hired to do, right? They're interviewing to find process improvement, to find like the easy stuff to get rid of, or the automations, or hey, this person's just dragging along. They're not trying to innovate. They're not trying to do beyond their job. In that case, right, in that Office Space example, it was we're going to fire them, right? But yeah, sure, that is cost savings. But I think more importantly, as you make these implementations, these changes, the best case scenario is you give that person an opportunity, right? A coaching opportunity to where you're saying, okay, listen, like you've done a great job of just maintaining this thing, but hey, listen, we've got an opportunity to automate that. So we're going to automate it, and we would love you to be part of that. And honestly, maybe you could run it, and maybe you could think of the different ways. And now, not everybody's going to subscribe to that, so it might be time for them to move on to another opportunity. But um, there are so many unlocked opportunities. I talk about Fortune 150. That's a very big company, right? But there are a lot of companies out there. There are contractors that gross $5 million, $10 million. They don't have a finance professional. They don't have a technology professional. You know, their staff they are trying to keep as low cost as possible. So with low cost comes oftentimes either sloppiness or it come or uh, you get or you're overstaffed to where people are doing micro jobs and there's not enough supervision to essentially um, oversee the fact that they're just doing little things that are necessary to keep the engine running. But is it the fastest way? Is it the cheapest way? No. So I think something like Claude, and something that I want to impart on the world and other business owners is listen, we can do tax accounting and we want to do those amazing, right? We want to make sure you are the best documented. You are ready once we file that tax return, you are ready for the IRS to come knocking on your door and say, hey, we want to open you up for audit. And we want to just hand them over a file, answer some questions, and move on with our lives. That is my ideal tax situation you know, uh, if emergency break glass. That's what it looks like to me, hopefully. Um, Knock on wood, haven't haven't had the pleasure of handling an audit in my firm, but that's in IRS resolution, people look at your work papers and you hand them over, and I haven't had any comments come back um, to uh, to where they scrutinized it greatly and they said it wasn't sufficient. So that's my goal is to be overly documented, have all of the answers, all of the concerns addressed. Um, and so that's from a tax side. But how do you do that efficiently and effectively with technology? And so here we are. I like to build technology to make that dream come true. And I worked in corporate, I worked in a cost center. So I know what it's like to do re- repetitive, recurring jobs and how it doesn't add value to the company, but you have to do it. And I love to find those opportunities and just capture that time back for the company because that time is profitability. And I think I do a very good job of it. So that's where I'll end the stream today. Um, Not a lot of building. I'll try and do more. This one was more about testing that this stream, the bottom corner, um, the build in public, able to screen share, um, that's available. Um, give you a little bit about me. We're 38 minutes in, so there's plenty of time here. Uh, and I'll just try and repeat and restart. If I don't get day two right after this one on Monday, I'll uh, I'll start again with a new day one, and until I string together. If I can string together a little consistency, I do have a lot of CPE that I need to catch up on. So there might be a another restart, but anyway, until next time, I hope you got some value out of this. I'll try to be more efficient in the future so that I don't carry on for 40 minutes and without direction. But have a good day. I hope you learned a little bit and learned a little bit about me. Take care.